Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be making some delicious empanadas. And one of the key ingredients that we're going to use is a sourdough starter. If you're new to sourdough starter or you would like to begin your own sourdough starter, I'm going to leave the link in the description below of a video explaining how you can begin your own starter. And if you're new to my channel, welcome! Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with others. Without further ado, let's jump right into the recipe. We will need half of a cup of an active sourdough starter. And we're going to be using our fingers and hands a lot, so it's very important to wash our hands. 3/4 of a cup of whole milk at room temperature. 2 tablespoons of honey. Also 2 tablespoons of melted butter that it's not too hot. 1 egg at room temperature. One teaspoon of non-iodized salt. 3 3/4 cup of unbleached all-purpose flour. Use a spatula to combine all of the ingredients as much as you can. Now we're going to switch to our hand, and don't forget to wet your hand ahead of time. We're trying to incorporate all the flour that's left on the sides and at the bottom of the bowl. Next, we're going to cover it with a plastic wrap and let it rest for about 1 hour. After an hour, remove the plastic wrap and we're going to start the kneading process with our hand. Lightly dust with flour a clean surface or countertop. We will knead the dough with both hands for approximately 10 minutes. You can also use this process in your stand mixer using the hook attachment. As you continue to knead the dough, you're going to notice that it's less sticky and a little bit smoother. After about 10 minutes, we're going to tuck it and form a little ball. I'm going to use the same bowl, dust it lightly with the all-purpose flour, place the dough inside, and then add just a little bit of flour on top of the dough. Cover it with a plastic wrap one more time and place it in a warm area of your kitchen until it has somehow doubled in size. Next, we will prepare the filling. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter to a skillet and 1 tablespoon of oil. I like to use olive oil. Let the butter melt on medium heat. Add 1 small onion chopped in small pieces and cook on medium heat until it is a little bit translucent for about 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare the olives. I have about 19 or 20 stuffed green olives, and I don't use too many of them because they have a strong flavor and a little bit goes a long way. And now I'm going to slice them in half. Let's go back to the onions. They're done. It's time to add the ground beef. I have 1.5 pounds of ground beef. If possible, try to use lean beef. If that's not possible for you, brown the meat on a separate skillet and drain the excess fat. Then you can add the onions. I have here 1 tablespoon of salt, half a teaspoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh oregano, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. The ground beef is one of the most traditional ways to fill inside the empanadas, but that's not the only way. Some people use chicken. You can also substitute with ham and cheese and even turn it into a dessert by adding jam or fruit paste. You can be creative and add your own filling inside. And now going back to the ground beef, I'm going to add an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce and give it a very good stir. We're going to continue cooking the ground beef on medium heat until most of the liquid is completely reduced. We don't want it to get too dry. It should still have some of the juices, but not soupy. Finally, turn off the stove and add the olives. I'm going to wait until it comes to room temperature before covering with a lid. If I cover it now, the condensation on the lid can drip down into the beef. The next ingredient is optional, but it's also very traditional in the empanadas, and it's hard-boiled egg. You can leave the egg completely out of the recipe and it's going to be perfectly fine. And if you want to know more how I make my perfect hard-boiled eggs, I'm going to leave a link in the description below to that video as well. I have a very large cookie sheet. You can use any size that you have at hand and cover it with parchment paper. My dough has doubled in size and it's time for the next step. Dust your surface or countertop with flour. Then we're going to add the dough. Flatten it lightly to create a small square. Now we're going to cut it in half. And save the other half in the bowl where it was originally rising. And cover it with a plastic wrap to prevent it from drying out. Dust the rolling pin with the flour, and now we're going to start stretching the dough. We're not turning it into any particular shape, but we do want to stretch it and flatten it until it is slightly less than 1/8 of an inch thick. We don't want it too thin either or it will break apart. I'm using a 4.5 inches cookie cutter. As I cut one at a time, I'll be setting them aside and place them on a plate. We're going to repeat the process with the leftover. Now I'll grab the other half of the dough and put everything together and stretch it with a rolling pin. Now for this last leftover dough, I'm not going to stretch it anymore because it will be too thin. I'm just going to turn it into a big empanada, and I'll give this bonus one to my husband. It's time to add the filling. I'm going to chop the eggs in small pieces. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll be using a teaspoon to fill in the center of the empanadas. Next, I'll add 1 or 2 pieces of the egg. And I'll continue with the rest of the rounds. Next, I'll be using a brush with a little bit of water to wet the edges, and I'll be doing it 3 at a time. This is going to make the dough stick to each other when we close the empanada. To form the shape of an empanada, grab one end very gently and fold it over to the other side. Then press it with your fingertips to seal it. You can use your thumbs to keep the contents inside as you're folding it. As you fold them, you're going to notice that you have extra space. You can move them around as they will not expand too much in the oven. If you prefer, you can also do this process on a plate and then transfer them to the cookie sheet. And this is the bonus empanada, the big one. The next step is extremely important. We're going to use a fork and we're going to make tiny holes to create vents. This will prevent the contents from bursting out when the empanada is in the oven at high temperatures. Finally, we're going to use the same fork to seal the edges completely. You can wet the fork if it sticks too much. Now we're going to make an egg wash. Beat an egg and paint it over each of the empanadas. This is going to give them a beautiful and shiny golden brown color. Now we'll bake them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 35 to 40 minutes depending on your oven. And they are ready. It's so exciting to open the oven and see these empanadas with that gorgeous golden brown color. Wait a couple of minutes before transferring them to a cooling rack. Let them cool down and rest for at least 30 minutes. This is a gorgeous empanada. I can't wait to taste them. and the smell is amazing. Simply delicious. And now it's time to give my husband his bonus empanada. And he approves. And there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this video with others. And I hope to see you soon. Have a fabulous and very blessed day.